Hey everybody, welcome back to the GameSpot stage live on GameSpot.com. GameSpot.com, that's who I work for, yes. And we're on stage one here. Excuse me, and this is my worst ever intro. I'm coughing, I'm muddling my words, but luckily Scott Amos is going to sort me out. Scott, welcome to the stage.
Thank you very much.
I got your name right, yeah,
didn't I? You did, absolutely.
Yes. And what are we going to talk about, Scott?
Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, our sequel to Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light.
Wonderful. I think we have a brand new trailer to show off as well.
Yeah.
Maybe we can cue that up in the production booth. Here we go, trailer time. So far, the trailer looks a lot like you.
It does.
Yeah.
I am
That's
the
some
trailer.
really impressive next-gen graphics there.
That's right. I'm high def.
So Scott, talk us through. Actually, no. Maybe what we should do is just watch the trailer. Enjoy the trailer. How does that thing even live in that too? Like, what does it eat, Scott?
That's the Kepri boss. That's a scarab, man. It's
Yeah,
a
it's a
god
scarab.
from ancient Egypt. He can eat anything he wants.
Oh, okay, fair enough. He doesn't
need
need mere food for sustenance.
He
Now,
doesn't.
obviously, the first thing that stands out from that trailer, if you played Guardian of Light, is that it's 4-player co-op this time.
Absolutely
So
right.
tell me a bit about that.
So we looked at 2-player, right? We loved it. The co-op experience, something for us that was great on last gen. But looking at next gen, for the kind of fidelity we wanted to get to and being able to have more friends joining the adventure, and for the first time ever, having Lara Croft in a 4-player co-op adventure was a massive challenge and a massive excitement for us. So as a team, we couldn't wait to get back into this franchise. And the fans have been asking for that sequel for so long. We're like, we need to do something special. We need to do something that helps push the gameplay and pushes that kind of next-gen experience for us.
So is it the gameplay very similar kind of affair? You know, combat, puzzle solving. Is it going to be very similar to the previous game, which I've now suddenly forgotten the name of? Guardian of Light. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So certainly it has a lot of similarities because it's based on that foundation of what we did there. Right? 2 players. Even looking at the B-roll, the stuff we have in there of the characters running around, solving puzzles together, in combat together. But with 4 players, it gets more complex as far as the types of puzzles you face. The world itself dynamically changes depending on how many players you have. So you actually have more complex puzzles or easier puzzles or more enemies. The things scale appropriately for that. But for us, being able to have those 4 different characters kind of split into classes where you have 2 Egyptian characters, 2 Egyptian gods you get to play as, Isis and Horus, the wife and son of Osiris, and then the 2 archaeologist characters, Lara, and then a new character we wrote into the fiction named Carter Bell. It's kind of a Belloc versus Indiana Jones, kind of that competitor slash partner that are now kind of forced together in this blood feud between these 2 gods.
So what are the challenges then, I guess, of 4-player co-op with a game like this? Because you know, when you've got 2 players and you're solving puzzles, you can work very close together. I feel like with 4 it could get quite frantic, right? You know, 4 people running in different directions. I'm guessing this is all online, or is it?
No, it's couch play and online.
It's couch play and online.
Yeah, so
right.
And there's actually a mix of those. So you and I can be on the couch here, and 2 other friends can be online. We can actually blend together any number of online or couch play.
So how did you stop it getting like just a bit too insane with 4 people on one screen like that?
Oh, it gets insane.
Oh, yeah, it does. It just gets insane.
We embrace the insanity.
Embrace the insanity.
So you'll see even in some of the stuff in the trailer that the mayhem just gets massive, where you have all these guys, all these enemies coming from the undead world, launching various types of weaponry at you, and having your buddies around to help pick you up once you get killed, or partnering together. This whole relic system, this whole rings and amulets and all this stuff you can do to tweak out your character to upgrade your team as well means that you can actually share all these powers together. So we actually embrace the mayhem instead.
Now in Guardian of Light, you had your 2 characters, and I forget the name of the other guy.
Yeah,
he was able to throw spears, right?
Exactly.
And Lara could climb them. So does each character have their own unique ability again then?
So we split them in classes this time.
Yeah.
So you have the 2 Egyptians that have more of the magic side. They have the Staff of Osiris. Let's let them have this kind of beam energy they can use, like for classic Egyptian mirror puzzles, we have to reflect the light to trigger something.
Yep.
They also can create a magic shield around themselves that can block incoming projectiles, or you can climb on top of that to get to higher areas. Whereas Lara and Carter, the archaeologist, actually have the grapple, which we had back in Guardian of Light, so you can make tight ropes, you can make areas you can grapple to and climb up onto, or pull partners up over cliffs that they can't get to. We've also added a torch, actually a flare and a torch mechanic, so you can actually light up really dark tombs where you're going to need the light, and for solving certain puzzles where you have to go and light different things on fire to be able to get through an area.
So, because they're 2 classes, does that mean that Lara and the other archaeologist chap, their kind of skill set is the same?
Right.
So you can choose, you're like, I want to be the archaeologist, and then you can like choose your version of that, but your abilities are still the same.
Right, your 2 different classes, similar abilities.
If you had 4 different abilities, that's be quite complicated in terms of puzzle solving, right? Yeah.
Right, exactly. So we actually split them into classes, but we do have some nuanced differences. Like Carter, he starts with a very powerful magnum pistol, but it's a single shot, one at a time, whereas Lara has her dual pistols. So we do have the kind of nuanced differences between them. But in the end, it's really about getting the classes and then being able to customize them with rings, with amulets, with all the gear and all the weaponry that you can pick up as you go through the adventure.
So is this going to be downloadable? Is that you're going to distribute?
We haven't actually announced all the pricing or date or any of that kind of information yet. It's certainly built in the same spirit of Guardian, so you can kind of extrapolate that as you will.
I think you're about to say, we haven't announced it yet. Until now, live on the GameSpot stage.
So yeah, that I would love to, but right now what I can tell you is it's coming soon. And Xbox One, PS4, PC, so definitely for us, looking at what Guardian did, there's a lot of learnings from that we can apply to this.
Fantastic. It must be quite fun, I guess, to be able to work in the kind of the world of the lore of Lara Croft. But it's just got such a these games have the complete like different tone from like the kind of remake of Lara, which again I've forgotten the name of it.
It's Tomb Raider now, Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, exactly. We got so Rise of Tomb Raider, which we got trailer just on the press conference the other day.
Yes.
So yeah, it must. I mean, is it kind of fun having like be able to just have fun with the franchise rather than being
amazing.
Too serious?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even it's all being built at Crystal, right? Both of these games are being built by Crystal at Crystal, and be able to look at this game, which is that classic arcade, dual pistols, the teal top, like she's out there platforming action, fighting scarabs the size of a skyscraper. And then we go over to Rise of the Tomb Raider, and suddenly it's much more serious, gritty, that origin tale. So it really is 2 different franchises that live under the same Lara Croft umbrella. So they still are part of that world, but it's kind of that different takes of, here's the 4-player co-op action arcade, here's the much more serious, gritty tone storytelling game.
So we saw some classic giant ball-moving puzzle solving. So yeah, just talk us through what we're seeing in the gameplay here.
Yeah, certainly. So this is actually one of the first levels of the game, actually in the Temple of Osiris. Lara has just discovered it. She and Carter have gotten into it. By trying to find the Staff of Osiris, they've managed to break themselves into this curse. So now they're cursed. They free the 2 gods, Isis and Horus. So now they have this 4-player team. The only way for them to kind of defeat Set, the bad guy, get the curse lifted, is to go off and find all these pieces of Osiris that have been ripped asunder, spread throughout Egypt. So what we're watching is these 4 guys in some of that mayhem. They're even fighting this giant skeleton guy who's actually protecting this particular cave. But you get the sense of all 4 of these guys, they're currently powered up. You can see some of the asymmetry here where Carter can make a tightrope with his grapple. The other characters can jump and crawl across it. And then even the friends kind of issue here, if you're playing with people you know, sometimes they're not the nicest people to play with because you're your friends, right? So they like screwing with you. So you'll notice that Carter keeps dropping some of these guys into the spike pit below. That little bit of kind of griefing your partners is the nature from Guardian and into Temple, where we don't want people to screw with each other completely, but we do want people to be able to have that fun of competing and still cooperating, right? You're still on the same quest. You still want to get through the dungeon together. You still need each other to survive the tomb. But in this kind of friendly competition where, hey, if there's certain pieces of loot that only I can get to, then I don't want you to get there
Reminds
first.
me of whenever I play Rayman Origins. You
Exactly
you got to slap your buddy in the face.
You got to do it, right?
Slap them off cliff edges. It's too much fun.
And you actually play harsher with your friends than with people you just find online. Like, we have open games. People can join your lobby. You can always make it a private match. But it seems like people who are playing with strangers are a lot more friendly.
So can you play local and online at the same time? So
Absolutely.
You can be sitting next. You could be sitting on that comfortable couch playing, and then Seb and Ed from the production booth could play online in our very same game.
Yeah, we wanted that mix and match to make it as easy as possible. Guardian had a little more complexity of going back to menus where you're going. We literally can pause the game, bring it up. You can join in the game right there live, and then you pick one of the other 4 characters, and off we go.
So other than the ability for now 4-player co-op, what else is new? What else is next gen enabled you guys to do?
Well, certainly for us, looking at the next gen, just the fidelity, even on the main menu screen of the characters, they are so much more dense polygon-wise, the textures and materials, and then atmospheric and effects. Look at all the stuff we have from particle systems.
There's a lot going on, yeah.
It's a chaotic mess of beautiful stuff, right? Seeing explosions and things clapping around you, and we have a lot more destructibility. So you can see things like these columns just start smashing around as this giant Ahmed, who's one of the gods who chases you through the underworld.
What is he, like alligator?
It's actually a she, and it's a crocodile mixed with a hippopotamus with a little bit of lion in her. So it's this weird mix right out of the Osiris
Sounds lovely. Sounds lovely.
Isn't that awesome?
Delightful.
So having that thing chase you through every tomb and just smashing the hell out of the world around you, this kind of destructibility with all the effects, with all the dynamic lighting, and then having 4 players was just why we were focusing on next gen.
And it's and it is only on next gen, right?
It is Xbox One, PS4, and PC.
Excellent, excellent.
And even things like this, right? These are those kind of cooperative moments where you need your buddies to escape at the very ending, right? Where you get down to it, and a couple of them didn't make it. And this is the kind of stuff that happens when you're playing with your friends and maybe even playing with strangers.
Can you just respawn? Did you have a certain number of lives?
You do at a cost, right? It's a matter of you have gemstones you collect that you use for your economy to buy some of the loot that you can earn. So there's actually a whole system of wanting to get gems and also wanting to get the high scores to beat your buddies, because you still want to win, even if it's your friends.
Fantastic.
Good.
So what kind of puzzles can we expect to see? We've seen some of the kind of the ball moving ones, and working with your co-op buddies to get past spike pits and stuff. But what kind of new puzzle action are you going to get?
There's a tremendous number of them. We have this flexibility with a great physics system that we can do all kinds of crazy puzzles, from simple switch puzzles to lighting things on fire puzzles to really dark areas. Even the boss battles themselves have kind of puzzle elements built into them of how you actually have to go and defeat those kind of bosses. So we've taken all the stuff, because we have the designers back from Guardian of Light working on Temple of Osiris, so they knew exactly what did and didn't work back then, and they've actually been able to expand that and say, okay, here's some new stuff that we can use with those physics balls and the spheres that we use, saying here's some more complex puzzles we can create. So I think fans are going to be excited and challenged, having a great story campaign, but also these challenge rooms, these challenge tombs off on the side that are optional content, but are really, really hard puzzles.
In fact, speaking of fans, if you guys are watching at home and you have a burning question to ask Scott, then the best thing to do would be to send me a tweet to @CamFrazRob. Let's bring in that lower third again from here. Let's just drag it from here with my tweet right here. Come on. This worked earlier. I did this and it just magically appeared.
There it is. Hey, well done.
There it is. Thank you, Seb and Ed. Yeah, so tweet at me @CamFrazRob if you have any questions for Scott. We got a couple minutes left. I still have one more question for you, Scott.
Okay.
I'm not done yet. I'm not done.
Understand.
I just got to track it down here. Okay. Where'd it go? I had a killer question. Oh, no, maybe I've gone through them all. Well, tell us more about the kind of the world then. Tell us more about the tombs. Is it all going to be kind of similar scenarios, or is there quite a lot of environmental flexibility?
That's actually a good question. People ask us a lot about the size of the game.
Yeah.
Like, we have all these linear tombs in Guardian, right? It's very much a straightforward front-to-back kind of linear game. But in Temple of Osiris, we actually have all these tombs, but they're connected from what we call the overworld. So it's a larger space. So we're not talking a lot about it right now, but we are saying that there is a space that is part of, you think of ancient Egypt, you have to be outside a little bit and be able to see the world and how it connects. So it's not just one tomb after the other. It is actually a series of tombs that you have to find and kind of unlock to get to them. So we do have a larger world to explore. As far as gameplay, scale-wise, it's, people ask us, is it the same length of Guardian of Light?
Yeah.
Honestly, the world is bigger, and there's a lot more stuff to do on the replay side. We have a whole loot system that's also a rarity system. So you have common items, you have really rare items, so you have to go back and grind through some of these tombs multiple times to go back and say, what's the coolest amulet or ring that I can get? And there's hundreds of these things to find. So being able to get those characters tweaked and tuned up perfectly so you have the best team you can for both combat and defense and regeneration, all of that stuff is up for grabs as players want to go back and hunt for all the best loot they can find.
Fantastic. Well, Scott, thank you so much for joining me on stage.
Absolutely, my pleasure,
Just going to close off with one, excuse me, very quick question from Twitter.
Yes.
Ryan Johnston, I'm going to assume that is the former singer of AC/DC, says, is Temple of Osiris single player as well, or just multiplayer?
Absolutely,
so just finally, can you play on your own?
Yeah, so that's a very, people have been confused because we keep saying multiplayer, because we're so focused on the 4-player. You can play it any combination of 1, 2, 3, or 4.
So if I want to send in my kind of Matrix-esque chair on my own and play, I can?
Absolutely.
I don't need to have friends.
No, the game actually will change for 1 player, or 2, or 3, or 4. So the puzzles will change, the enemies will change.
Cool.
But the overall story is the same front to back. If you have more characters, then you'll hear their voices. So if Carter is in the game as one of the characters, you actually hear him talking through the game, chatting with the player. But if you don't have him in there, then it's a one-player experience. So yeah,
fantastic.
front to back.
Well, Scott, thanks again, man. And guys, make sure you don't go anywhere right now, though. We are going to go and check in with Anna Prosser-Robinson, who we actually had on stage not long ago. You might remember. She was talking about her time with Rainbow Six. Let's now go and see that little video she made and find out exactly how she got on. But come back to the stage after. See you in a few minutes.